Christy, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a card using Reverse Confetti's Lift Me Up. So I've stamped those images out on Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth Premium White cardstock with Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink. And I'm going to be coloring to match some pattern paper from the Simple Stories Boho Baby 6x8 pad. So I'll just tuck that under my cardstock panel so I can use that as my color palette inspiration. So I'm coloring with my Copic markers, and the first combo that I'm going to use is Y11, Y21, and Y26. I'm going for more of a pale golden yellow rather than a bright yellow so that it pulls out some of those flowers in the pattern paper. So I use the Y26 first for my shadows. They're going on the left side of the taller giraffe's body since she's facing toward the right. And then I am blending that out with the Y21. Then to warm up this combo a bit, I brought in Y11. It just brightens it up slightly. But I didn't want too much of that because I didn't want it to pull too far away from the yellows in the pattern paper. So I decided to add in a fourth shade, and I used Y00 for my highlight. And then I'm going to color the baby giraffe the same way, but I'm going to reverse the shadows since she's facing toward the left. Her shadows are going to fall on the right-hand side. So Reverse Confetti is actually no longer in existence. They were a really adorable stamp company that closed their doors either a year or two ago. But I needed a baby card. My husband's coworkers, who are a married couple, just had a little baby girl, and I needed to make a card for them. And one thing to know about me is that I love shopping for baby gifts, and I always pick out a whole theme so that everything matches. So I'll get like a little outfit and a toy and a blanket and a book and some kind of teether or something like that, and I always pick a theme. And this time my theme was giraffes, so I wanted to have a giraffe card to match the rest of the gifts. And I thought about this Reverse Confetti stamp set because it was always one of my favorites, and I think these giraffes just work so beautifully for baby cards. So I have switched to some E30s, E33, E35, and E37 to pull out those kind of warm browns in that pattern paper. And I am using those shades for the hooves and the tip of the tail, the mane down both giraffes' backs, and also the ossicones, which are what those little horn-like things on top of a giraffe's head are called. And then I'm going to keep the E33 and add in E30 and E31, and I'll do their muzzles to also pull in some of those lighter brown tones in that pattern paper. So I'm putting the E33 down at the base of the muzzle and then blending up and out with the E31 and then using the E30 for the highlight. I'll also add a little bit of that to some of the spots on the giraffes, but I also wanted to have a bit of fun with the colors. Since this is a baby card, I thought it would be appropriate to have multicolored dots. So I am going to kind of mix it up and pull in some other shades from that pattern paper. First, I'm going to do my bird using B00, B41, and B45. The B45 is again down the back on the left since the bird is facing right, and then blending out with the other two shades. And then I'll pick a few more of the little dots to add this to. And first I thought I might just skip to the B41, but I felt like it was missing a bit of depth there, so I did add in just a touch of that B45 and blend it out with the other two shades to give them some little blue spots as well. I wanted to have a nice mix of all those different colors in that pattern paper, as many as possible. There's not too many spots to color, but I'm trying to just pick a few here and there to have in this combo. And then I'm going to switch to a really soft kind of aqua green. I just pointed to the flower that I'm trying to pull out with this one. And for that, I'm using BG70 and BG72. Just the 2 shades, because the next shade up would have been too dark and then it wouldn't have really matched the pattern paper. So I'm just going to use the 2, but they are pretty far apart, so they almost look like 3 shades once you blend them. I did go back to my E35 for the bird's beak because I didn't want to bring in any orange or anything like that. And then I'm going to bring in some pinks. I'm using R000, R11, and R20. I'll give my giraffes and bird some rosy cheeks with the darkest 2 shades, R20 first, and then blending out with the R11. Then I'll color in the remaining spots on the giraffes with all 3 shades. And I'm also going to color in that little bow. So I'm just placing that R20 where the fabric is gathered together or where part of it might be overlapping itself. And then blending out with the mid-tone and then adding a little bit of highlight to fill in any remaining white space. And then I will grab a black Sakura Jelly Roll pen and get that going off to the side. And I'm going to go over the eyes of my giraffes and my bird to make them really dark and shiny. It's just a nice little extra detail. And then I will trim these images out with their matching dies. For my background, I'm actually going to be using some of this pattern paper. So I'm just flipping through the paper pad and choosing a piece to tear out. So I'm going to use both the white and also the green diamond print that is on the back for my focal panel. And then while I have this pad out, I'm also going to choose the rest of my prints for this card. So I went with this kind of dark brown gingham and then of course the floral print. I had some like a soft pink with hearts and then a nice stripe print that matches the floral. So I'm going to use all of these pattern papers on today's card. I love mixing and matching pattern paper on a card, and today I'm really going to lean into that. So I am going to die cut my focal panel using the Sunny Studio stitched semicircle dies. I am going to use the largest one, and I'm going to cut out one at the top of the white paper. And then I'll cut one from the bottom, which I will use the back of for the green. The stitched semicircle is actually going to go on its side as you see it here. So I'm going to put it like that and then take the Lawn Fawn simple stitched hillside borders and hold that in place with a bit of post-it tape and run that through my die cutting machine to create the ground. And then I want to add a little bit of distress inking to that white part. So I'm going to use some spun sugar. I thought that pink would be nice since this is a card for a little baby girl. So I'm going to blend that on, starting down below where the diamond print is going to cover it up so that any excess ink will be covered, and then it just gets softer as I go up. Since this is just pattern paper, it's not really meant for ink blending, so I'm being very careful to use light pressure and just do that very soft and, you know, blend as much as possible so I don't get like any harsh lines left by the blending tool. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and glue the ground piece over top. I thought about doing some splatter detail, but since this is just thin pattern paper, I didn't want to add excess moisture to it because that would most likely cause a lot of warping. So I'm just going to leave it as is and pop that in my MISTI so I can stamp a sentiment. I'm using the Mama Elephant Essential Tag Sayings because I just needed a baby sentiment, and the stamp set, the Reverse Confetti Lift Me Up, does not come with a baby sentiment. So I'm stamping Welcome Little One using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. and I did stamp that down twice to make sure it was nice and bold. I'll set that aside to dry and pop my card base in my MISTI. It's Lawn Fawn Ballet Slippers cardstock, and I'm stamping in bubblegum ink. And I'll do another sentiment from the Mama Elephant Essential Tag Sayings, plus the Baby Giraffe and Little Bird from the Reverse Confetti Lift Me Up. So I stamped that down twice as well to make sure it's bold and legible. And now I'm ready to start assembling. I have trimmed down these first 3 pieces of pattern paper with the Lawn Fawn large stitch rectangle stackables. That is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, the largest piece, which is going to be the brown gingham. And that covers the entire card front because it is an A2 standard size card. And then I'm going to run the floral print top to bottom, justified a bit over toward the right with a little bit of that brown gingham showing through. And then I'll take the heart print and add that running across the center horizontally. And because I ran all 3 of those through at once with that die, all of the stitching detail around the outside edges matches up. Then I took that small striped piece and trimmed that down with the Lawn Fawn stitched scallop borders. This is the 2nd largest, I believe. And I am going to just add a bead of glue, and then I'm going to put that over on the right side of the focal panel. So we just have a little bit of that scalloped border showing on the side. And I am going to line that up over on the right hand side so the edge of the stitched semicircle lines up with the edge of that floral printed pattern paper. So I just took my time lining that up and then pop that down into place, and then I can bring in my images. I am going to figure out the placement of my 2 giraffes. So the parent giraffe, the taller of the 2, is going to go over on the left hand side, and I wanted that up near the sentiment to really draw your eye to that. So I'll just add her over there. It could also be a daddy if you want it to be. And I'll just make sure he's straight or she's straight. And then I'm going to add the little baby giraffe so that her head is right below the sentiment. Then I'll take the little ribbon image, and that is going to go right around her neck. So just placing that where I want it. It can also go on the taller giraffe if you want to, but I'm going to do it for the baby for this card. And then I'll add the little bird down at the bottom of the scene as well. For my embellishments, I'm going to add a few little hearts. So these are actually from the Lawn Fawn Heart Garden border. I just have a bunch of these die cut, and I keep them in a little dish on my desk so I can add them to projects whenever I need to. So the die cuts out the larger size and the smaller size. So I use 2 of the larger and 3 of the smaller, and I'm placing that final small heart in the bird's beak just for a little something down there as well. And then I'm going to add some glitter over top of that using Stardust Stickles, just squeezing that out and using the nozzle to spread it around and coat those hearts completely. So we have a nice little flash of glitter when you tip the card into the light, which I will show you right here. And I'll also give you another peek at the inside. I really hope that the parents of the baby girl this is going to are going to enjoy this card, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell if you want to be alerted when I post new videos. The products I use will be listed and linked in the description bar below. And if you'd like to keep watching, here are 2 extra videos I thought you might also enjoy. You can click on either one to check them out. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you had a good one, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye-bye.